In 1904, the people of a small Colorado town were done with politicians. So they elected a horse. His name was Harry. He won by 112 votes. He served for 4 years. And nobody could remove him, because the Constitution had nothing to say about horses in office. This is that story. Picture this: Limon, Colorado, 1904. A small dusty town in the middle of nowhere. Population, maybe 500 people. A few shops, a saloon, a church, and a town hall no bigger than a barn. The people here were simple, hard-working, and completely exhausted by their politicians. Every mayor they elected turned out to be the same: promises, handshakes, and then nothing. Or worse, something very crooked. The latest mayor, a local businessman named Gerald Hawthorne, was the worst of them all. He raised taxes, ignored the roads, and spent the town's budget on his own projects. The people complained. Hawthorne smiled. The people complained louder. Hawthorne smiled wider. He was so confident no one could beat him that he openly laughed at his critics. That was his first mistake. One evening, a group of farmers gathered at the local saloon. They were tired, frustrated, and, after a couple of drinks, very creative. One man slammed his fist on the table and said, "Any horse in this town does more useful work than Hawthorne." Everyone laughed. Then someone said, "Wait, why not actually put a horse on the ballot?" The room went quiet. Then everyone started laughing again. But this time, it was a different kind of laughter. The kind that means, "We're actually going to do this." The horse's name was Harry. He belonged to a local farmer named Tom Briggs, and he was, by all accounts, a fine horse. Calm, sturdy, brown with a white stripe on his nose. Tom entered Harry's name on the ballot as an independent candidate. The town clerk stared at the paper for a long time. There was no rule that said a horse couldn't run for office. So he accepted it. Harry was officially a candidate for mayor. When Hawthorne heard the news, he laughed. Then he laughed some more. He told reporters, "A horse cannot speak. A horse cannot make decisions. This is a joke, and I refuse to take it seriously." The local newspaper printed his quote on the front page, right next to a photo of Harry looking very dignified in a hat someone had placed on his head. The horse looked more mayoral than Hawthorne ever had. The campaign for Harry began. And it was nothing like any campaign before it. Children painted signs, "Vote Harry, he won't lie." Women baked cookies shaped like horseshoes. The saloon offered free drinks to anyone who promised to vote for the horse. Even the church pastor said in his Sunday sermon, "At least a horse doesn't steal." The whole town was laughing and voting. Election day arrived. The polling station was a small wooden building next to the general store. People lined up from early morning. Some of them were laughing. Some were serious. All of them voted. Hawthorne stood outside with his associates, looking confident. He had run in 3 previous elections. He had never lost. He wasn't planning to start now. Against a horse. The votes were counted. And then counted again, because the first count seemed impossible. Harry the horse received 312 votes. Hawthorne received 200. The margin was 112 votes. The town clerk read the result aloud, and the crowd outside erupted. Half of them in laughter. Half of them in genuine celebration. Hawthorne stood completely still for a full minute. Then he asked, "Is this legal?" Nobody knew. Hawthorne hired a lawyer. The lawyer spent 3 days reading the Colorado Constitution from cover to cover. He came back pale. "There is no provision," he said quietly, "that disqualifies a horse from holding public office. The Constitution said candidates must be residents of the town. Harry lived in a stable on Main Street. The Constitution said candidates must be on the official ballot. Harry was. There was nothing else. Harry was legally the mayor of Limon, Colorado. And so Harry was sworn in. Or rather, he was led to the town hall and officially introduced as mayor. Someone put a small sash on him that said, "Mayor." Harry ate it. They made a new one. Harry was tied to a post outside the town hall, where he received visitors. Citizens brought him apples and carrots. He ate those too. City business continued as usual, which is to say, better than before, because now the actual officials were too embarrassed to be outperformed by a horse. Word spread fast. Newspapers across Colorado, and then across the country, ran the story. Horse elected mayor in Limon. Journalists came to interview the new mayor. Harry gave consistent, thoughtful responses. He tossed his head and stamped his hoof when he seemed to agree with something, and simply ignored everything else. One journalist wrote, "Mayor Harry is more responsive to public concerns than most elected officials I have met." Harry's term of office was 4 years. During those 4 years, the town of Limon ran surprisingly smoothly. The real officials, the clerk, the treasurer, the deputy, continued to do their jobs, but with a strange new diligence. Nobody wanted to be the person who performed worse than the horse. Taxes were managed properly. Roads were slightly improved. And Harry stood at his post every single day, receiving apples and ignoring paperwork. When Harry's term ended, Hawthorne saw his chance. He put himself forward again. He gave speeches. He shook hands. He promised everything he had promised before. And then the people of Limon did something that surprised even themselves. They looked at Hawthorne. They looked at Harry grazing peacefully in a nearby field. And they thought, you know what? Let's see if Harry wants another term. Harry ran again. Hawthorne ran again. The result was almost identical. Harry won. Hawthorne lost, twice, to a horse. When journalists asked Hawthorne for a comment, he paused for a long time. Then he said, "At least he never lied." It was the most honest thing Hawthorne had said in his entire political career. And everyone knew it. After Harry's second term, the town finally elected a human mayor again. A younger man, honest and hardworking, partly because the bar had been set by a horse and he refused to fall below it. The people of Limon put up a small wooden sign near the town hall. It read, "In memory of Mayor Harry, who served without a single complaint, never stole, and always listened." The sign stayed up for decades. The story of Mayor Harry spread far beyond Limon. Newspapers in New York, Chicago, and even London covered it. Most treated it as a comedy. But a few thoughtful editors asked a harder question. If a horse can do the job, what does that say about the people who usually hold it? It was 1904. The question is still valid. Today, Limon, Colorado is a small town that most people drive through without stopping. But the locals know. They know about Harry. They know about the election. Some of them have the story framed on their walls. And if you ask an old-timer about the town's greatest mayor, they won't hesitate. They'll tell you about a brown horse with a white stripe on his nose who stood outside the town hall for 8 years and never once disappointed anyone. Here's what I find remarkable. Harry didn't campaign. He didn't promise anything. He didn't give speeches. He just existed, calmly, honestly, without any agenda. And people trusted him more than anyone who had ever asked for their vote. Maybe the lesson is simple. Sometimes the best leader is the one who isn't trying to lead at all. Historians have debated whether the Harry story is entirely true. Some details may have been exaggerated over 100 years of retelling. But the core of it, a horse on the ballot, a horse who won, a town that found a way to laugh at its own frustration, that part is real. And honestly, even if it were fiction, it would still be the best political story ever told. So next time you hear a politician promise the moon, remember Harry. A horse who never promised anything. Who never lied, never stole, never talked. Who just stood there, ate apples, and let people get on with their lives. And somehow, under his watch, things got a little better. There's a lesson in there somewhere. I'll let you find it. This was Story Night. And the horse won.